All right, guys, checking 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 for you. All right, guys, checking 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio. Sounds good. 1, 2, 3, 4 for you. And here we are, like we never left. Yep. Funny how that happens, huh?
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Monster Cast is now underway. Greg, I think it's 859 straight Sundays today is.
It's amazing.
859 straight Sundays. And I know that because my son and I did the math when we were down in Key West over the weekend. We were just
nothing but
about
time to count Sundays.
We just counted Sundays. That was all there was. So I might have to figure out how to get back in the groove today, but we'll be okay.
See if you remember how to do this.
I'm gonna try. Yeah, if I go into any hard breaks, make sure to give me my right times, okay? Don't screw anything up, because all of a sudden it seems like here we are back in the seat. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom for you today here in the Car Firearms Group studios in front of this powerful CZ Platinum microphone, all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Greg, we're live on Facebook, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. If you want to watch and listen, you can do that. Greg, I'll let you do your thing, and then we will move right over to the great Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Great show lined up for you today.
Absolutely. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. At X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live, listen live option. If you want to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And that will do it. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate it. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, my brother and dear friend. How are you today, my friend?
I'm excellent, Mark. Thank you for asking.
Well, we have a lot to cover today, Alan, and what I'm going to do is I've looked at all of the press releases that we have going on in the week in review from the Second Amendment Foundation, so I'm just going to kind of just take it kind of haphazard, and we'll just run through them all and hope that we have enough time, and I'm pretty sure we will. If I miss anything in there, make sure to jump all over it for me. I don't want you to go without getting whatever it is you want to hear, our audience to hear, out, okay? So let's start with this because it's just kind of fun. And it's Everytown Polls Jones endorsement announcement. There's two press releases that went out from the Citizens Committee, Alan. Everytown's hypocrisy on full display with $200,000 donation to Jones. And then Everytown Polls Jones endorsement announcement that was revealed by the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms less than 24 hours after the CCR-KBA press release, scathing news release condemning Everytown went out. They pulled it, but they've remained silent, haven't they? Let's talk a little bit about the hypocrisy and remind people of what Jay Jones did, said, and who he is.
Well, let me start with Jay Jones. He talked about shooting a Republican in the head and killing his children, among other things. The guy is running for the Attorney General of Virginia, and obviously shouldn't be in elected office or running for office, period. And Everytown, of course, endorsed him and gave him $200,000. And then when we disclosed what he went and did, and shooting people in the head, Everytown sort of had to retract a little bit. They pulled it off their website, but they didn't remove the endorsement, so to speak. And again, I'm really proud of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms because we exposed it. And we got them to pull it off their website, even though they're hypocrites about it and won't remove the endorsement, so to speak, or talk about it. They're hiding in the sand, buried their heads. But, of course, we showed the whole world what hypocrites they are.
Now, I don't know if you saw the debate with Winsome Sears, but it was the most brilliant political ad that came out of the debate that I have ever seen. And it was Winsome Sears calling her out on it multiple times with what time she had left, and Spanberger said nothing about her endorsement of Jones. So let's kind of segue from Everytown to the bigger picture. Why are the Democrats, Alan, refusing to pull their endorsement, and what does it say when this man blatantly said and repeated multiple times when he was being asked by whoever he was texting with to stop, 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 and they still refuse to pull their endorsements? What does that say about the state of the party?
Let me start, of course, going back with Everytown and their hypocrisy on this. What it shows is they're not really against gun violence. They're just against guns. They don't want you to own a firearm. And, this candidate for Attorney General would support any kind of gun ban measure that anybody, passed. He defended it in court. It just shows their hypocrisy, and it shows Democrats as a whole, again, don't care about violence. The party now is all about violence. They haven't condemned it anywhere around the country, and this is a blatant example when you get one of your candidates running for state attorney general talking about shooting people in the head and killing their children just because you don't agree with their views. This is the problem we have in our country. This is why we have all the violence going on. It goes back to Charlie Kirk assassination and everything else. The Democrats just keep their mouths shut about it. They're not against violence. If they can use it as a weapon or tool to push their agenda and take away our rights, they're all for it.
Alan, I'm just curious as a friend. If you and I were sitting talking and having dinner, I would ask you this question. Have you ever seen anything like this ever in your 50 years of, not just your 50 years of running the Second Amendment Foundation, because this is our 50th year, but in your years of life in this country with the party the way it is regarding violence and refusal to condemn it? It's unconscionable and it's indefensible. I've never seen anything like this. You've got a few more years on me. Have you?
No, I haven't. And blatant insurrection. And this is a party of self-projection. They talk about how Republicans or Trump is for insurrection, et cetera. Well, they are. Everything they accuse Trump of is what they're doing. It's absolutely amazing. And they think by deflecting it and trying to label your opponents with what you're pushing, you can get away with it. It's absolutely disgusting. And I wish the American people would rise up and end this, because it's going to end up, costing lives, violence, property. It's absolutely disgusting, Mark, and it's intolerable.
I've never seen anything like it in all of my years, and particularly the last 20 with my head in this game and covering this. I've never seen anything like this, and I never thought I would, to be frank with you, Alan. I never thought I would see it. I was just curious about that and wanted to get your thoughts. Let's move over, and guys, we're going to be talking about that more throughout the program today, I can promise you, with all of our guests. A CCR KBA lawsuit says NFA, National Firearms Act regulation of SBRs, which is short-barreled rifles, and suppressors is unconstitutional. So the Citizens Committee has filed a federal lawsuit in Texas now challenging the constitutionality of the National Firearms Act with respect to the untaxed firearms it purports to regulate and, quote unquote, with respect to suppressors and short-barreled rifles on Second Amendment grounds. Named as defendants are the, of course, Bureau of ATF, the Department of Justice, and Acting ATF Director Daniel Driscoll, as well as Attorney General Pam Bondi in their official capacities. Ladies and gentlemen, this lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, the Amarillo Division. It is a 32-page complaint alleging the NFA, which is described by the court as an interrelated statutory system for the taxation of certain firearms, no longer meets its purpose under the Constitution. How do you feel about this? I feel good about this.
I do too. The reason the Citizens Committee filed this in Texas is that there's a second suit like this filed in another circuit by the Second Amendment Foundation. And the trick here is that to get a case to the Supreme Court, sometimes you need a circuit split. So we're pushing this in more than one circuit.
And I obviously we need the circuit split. I do want to talk with you a little bit about the Supreme Court taking the case that they're taking. I don't have time for that now. We'll get into that in the next segment with you, Alan. But you do feel good about it. I just want people to hear that from you.
Well, I do. The whole idea of the NFA was that the Supreme Court ruled years ago that it was a tax, because it was a tax that they could get away with it because it wasn't a direct attack on Second Amendment rights. Well, now if the tax is gone, there is no tax. The whole justification why that Supreme Court ruled it could stay is now gone. Now the Supreme Court has to deal with this.
Yeah. Do you feel that with the taking of the Hawaii case, do you feel that we might be on the cusp of the Supreme Court over the next two sessions, that we might get at least one or two more cases, particularly an assault weapon ban case coming up soon? This signals to me that the court is ready to start taking some more cases. We are now coming up to 3 years removed from Bruin.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more cases taken in the next couple of sessions as well. We can't get them all heard in one session of the Supreme Court, so it's going to take a few years. But we are on the move. We are on offense, not defense, and that feels good. If
you had, with the time we have remaining in this segment, your pick
30
of two cases, we have 30 seconds left, that you would like them to see. They've already taken Hawaii's, and guys, we'll talk about that later as well. What would the two cases be? If you could if they could said, Alan, give me two cases, we'll take them right now, what would they be?
Well, I'd want to have so-called assaultment bans and magazine capacity bans, which could be dealt with at one time, taken. That'd be definitely, one or two of the cases. If they combine it, so it's one. And an 18 to 20-year-old case, I'd like to see them take in sensitive places, which they're sort of dealing with the Hawaii case. Those are the ones that are premier right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Alan. I appreciate it. I had an idea you would say that. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I have one more quick question for Alan about a particular case. We'll find out where that stands, and we'll talk about some of the great SAF victories this week. Don't go away. We'll be right back. One more segment with Alan Gottlieb. Guys, we'll have the mics up for you on and off during the breaks today. Got a lot of work going on here in the background. Do the best we can for you to give you as much sausage as we can. As I said, it's been a long week, and all of a sudden here it is again on Sunday, which is a beautiful thing. We'll be back with you at 21 after with Alan Gottlieb. Following Alan, Cam Edwards will be here. Cam Edwards will be here for 2 segments to round out this hour. Buckle in, it is going to move quick. Next hour, top of the hour, AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Bottom of the hour, John Lott. An interesting Twitter exchange on a post I put out, then a response to it that John jumped in on. We'll talk a little bit about that with John. It's pretty fascinating, among other things. And then we've got Paul Markle, student of the gun, sitting in for Brad Primo, who is out today, joining myself, Ryan Petty, and Justin Moon, who is just wrapping up now, as we speak, live, the Rod of Iron Festival in Greeley, Pennsylvania. And I'm hopeful that he will not have a problem. He shouldn't have a problem. Find out how the festival went. This is the first one I've missed in many years.
I was going to say, this is the first one you missed in a while, huh?
Yeah, it's the first one I've missed in a long time. I've only missed, this makes 2. And the other one was because of my son's birthday.
Yeah.
Which is why I missed this one, too, by the way.
Yep.
But in case anybody wants to know, if you've never been to Key West, Florida, I would highly recommend you go. Everybody's got to go at least one time. I've done my fill between July and with my daughter, and just this past 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with my son. I've had my fill at Key West for a while, I do believe. Although the X-Insurance running the powerboat races offshore at Mallory Square in November 7th, I'd like to take a ride down for that. Would be fun to round out that season. I still have yet to go to one of those races, by the way.
$30.
All right, guys, 20 seconds. Cameras up, lights on. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Indeed, welcome back to the show. National Rifle Association, of course, presenting this broadcast every day. Here comes the quick pitch for you, but if you are not a member of the NRA, you are doing yourself and all of us a disservice. You really need to join or rejoin, and we are still giving away. We still have some left, believe it or not. That's how many we had, because many of you have, and we thank you for that, and we appreciate it. You join 1 year or 3 year, I'm going to send you a free range bag. 5-year or life membership, we're going to send you a pair of binoculars, the 10x42 binoculars with the lens covers in the case. Really nice stuff for you. Believe me, it's if you just join for the 1 year, it's $35 annually, and we need your help. We're going to be talking about an NRA case suing California. Everybody's going to be suing California here soon. That's coming up because Gavin Newsom has deemed Glocks to be machine guns. And we can't wait to talk with the entire crew, including Alan Gottlieb, about that one in just a few moments. NRA.org/AAR, $35, 1 year. I don't care if you donate anything, just join and help us build this beast back up to where it needs to be. The 1,200, 1,800-pound gorilla in the room. Please, National Rifle Association, NRA.org/AAR. And all of our great partners are at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Alan Gottlieb, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be back, Mark.
Okay, I have a quick question for you before I move on. Buying guns across state lines, handguns, where are we with that? I apologize for not having the case in front of me. It just came to mind when you were talking in the previous segment, 18 to 20-year-olds, right? But I can't stand, when I go to Arizona, for example, and I see a great gun that I'd like to have, I can't buy it on the spot and take it with me. And I should be able to because it's the same form that I fill out in Georgia. It's a federal form. Where do we stand with that? Because there was an SAF case. Can you refresh my brain on that one, Alan?
I wish I could, Mark, but with the 55 cases going on, I can't exactly remember where that case is at right now. So I'll get that information and get it to you next week.
Okay, but it is out there. It is out there, still active. It just takes time, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, when we can report back on that, we will certainly do so. Alan, SAF has filed a motion to amend the judgment in the Reese versus ATF case on October 10th, just 2 days ago, after a district court in Louisiana ruled earlier this week that the Second Amendment Foundation must turn over its member list as part of the court's judgment in Reese v. ATF. In partnership, the organization in partnership with the DOJ filed its motion to amend the judgment today, which was on the 10th. Tell us about this case because this is very disturbing.
Okay, let me back it up a bit. We won this case at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, where they ruled that the 18 to 20-year-old ban on buying guns is unconstitutional. They remanded it back down to the trial judge for his order. The judge put the order in, and part of the order states that we have to give them our 18 to 20-year-old membership list from the date that we filed the suit. And of course, we're not for that at all. We're filed a motion with the court for them to amend their order and change it. And the Justice Department, the DOJ, and Pam Bondi are on board with us, saying that this is crazy. The government never asked for that, and that the fact of the matter is that they support our position, and they don't want to collect this data. But I need to address this in a different way, Mark. This is something
I know where you're going.
To me.
Yeah.
Okay. Two gun rights organizations, Gun Owners of America and the National Association of Gun Rights, put out information all over the internet this week that Pam Bondi and the Justice Department were behind this order by the court, and that they're trying to create a national registration list of gun owners. Totally false, 110% false, totally wrong. The Justice Department and Pam Bondi are supporting our motion to change this judge's order. It's a judge ruled it. The DOJ and Pam Bondi are on our side on this, and unfortunately, the information out there got a lot of gun owners riled up, attacking Pam Bondi, attacking Trump's Justice Department falsely. And quite frankly, Gun Owners of America and the National Association of Gun Rights owes Pam Bondi and the Trump Justice Department apology, along with every gun owner in America that they riled up with false information.
They're still minimized.
To pick on fellow gun rights groups, but in this case, I cannot let this go unchallenged. I hate the fact when our opponents always lie. When our people do the same kind of stuff, I cannot tolerate it.
Yeah, Alan, I just have to ask this because you brought it up, and I'm glad you brought it up. I really hadn't planned on going there. I knew you were going to go there. But misinformation applies to both sides, guys. Okay, and I addressed some of that misinformation with CZ USA in Canada on the Daily Show forcefully. I spoke with CZ, and I'm very confident in what I said, and I may very well repeat that again in the roundtable if you want to hear what I had to say about that, ladies and gentlemen. But Alan, it's very important that the truth be told. And I don't know where this information came from. Do you? Does it matter, or should we just move on? You've said your say.
Two gun rights groups put it out all over the internet, both in messages and in memes, and it's just totally false. I think they're doing it to try and raise money. Neither one of those groups, by the way, are parties to this suit, the Second Amendment Foundation suit. Neither one of us should have even been getting engaged in this. I think they're doing it to try and steal credit and rile gun owners up, and it's quite frankly appalling.
Okay, I'll let that stand right there, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that directly from Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. SAF is seeking an en banc review in New Jersey sensitive places lawsuit. This was back on the 8th. I haven't had a chance to talk with you about this. Where do we stand? Because the sensitive places issue, I believe, is going to gain a lot of steam as we get farther and farther removed from Bruin, Alan, and suits continue to build. This is very, very important. People are paying attention to this.
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, we partially won our victory against the sensitive places law in New Jersey. But we think we should have a total victory, so to speak. And so we're asking for an en banc review on this by the appeals court, because the trial gave us a partial victory but didn't give us a big enough victory. So we're going back to try and get the rest of it.
Real quick, what was the partial victory?
That they couldn't say they couldn't ban in their sensitive places like your own car, which they tried to ban gun carrying in, and other places. But what they're trying to do in New Jersey is make the whole state a sensitive place. And the judge made some rulings that in certain places they could still enforce their sensitive places law.
Right.
And we think he's wrong. On the same grounds he ruled for us that we were right, he should have said that all those other places were no good either.
All right, I'll predict a victory here in the long run on this one. SAF files amicus with Supreme Court supporting rights restoration case. So this was popped on the 9th. The Second Amendment Foundation and its partners have filed an amicus with SCOTUS urging the High Court to hear a gun rights restoration case. Real quick, because I know we're going to run out of time. Take that one away.
Yeah, it's been a busy week for us. I think we had 4 court actions in 1 week here. The gun rights restoration case, again, if you're a nonviolent felon and you're no threat to anybody, you shouldn't lose your gun rights for life for a nonviolent white-collar type crime. And so we want the Supreme Court to make a ruling on this. We've gotten mixed reviews from various lower courts where sometimes we get people's rights restored, sometimes we don't. We need the High Court to weigh in on this and say you can't lose your Second Amendment rights for life if you're not a threat to anybody.
Yeah, and I do want to thank you for that, Alan. We've got very limited time, about 15 seconds. But I do want to point out that it's not just about guns, ladies and gentlemen, because on the 3rd, going back less than 2 weeks ago, Second Amendment Foundation filed an amicus in the Fifth Circuit case challenging switchblade bans. Alan, it's about arms, isn't it? I'll let you close this out to the music.
Yes, it is. It's about arms that you use for self-defense.
Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, so busy this week at the SAF. I hope I got the meat of it in with you, Alan. If not, we know we can bring you back next week. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, thank you, sir, for everything that you've been doing on behalf of gun owners for the last 50 years. When we come back, Cam Edwards, Cam & Company, Bearing Arms. Don't go away. Yeah, we got all that in. I think we hit it all.
Sound like a lot.
That was a lot, and I was looking back at some of the dates. It's been a couple weeks since we've had Alan on the show.
Yeah.
So that was I was able to get that in, and we had chatted beforehand by text. And I'm pretty confident I didn't leave anything out. If I did, he'll let me know. We can bring it up next week. It's all pretty much evergreen at this point. Guys, coming up next, Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com, Cam & Company. All right, guys, we got Cam Edwards on hold for you. We're going right to Glocks on this one, guys.
All right.
We're going right to Glocks.
$30.
Ooh, I left the car in the driveway with the top down. I could get out there during the break and fix that. Top of the hour. I think it'll be full of leaves. It is fall.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was a nice weekend.
Oh, man, it was a beautiful weekend here. It was hot as
Gorgeous.
crap in Key West. Rained all day on Friday, but it was okay. We accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. Pool days were the 2 days previous. We were good to go.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. Please go out of your way to visit all of our great partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. And that would include Barrel Buddies, by the way, guys. And barrelbuddy.com, you can make money there. Making money is always a good thing. If you go to the range frequently, like we do at our house, Barrel Buddies are a lifesaver. Makes cleaning your guns so easy. The promo code over at barrelbuddy.com is AAR. And if you are so inclined, and I hope that you are, you can sign up as an affiliate there and make money when people use your name to make purchases. It's all laid out for you there at the website. So it's a win-win all the way around. Great product, clean your guns the right way, pitch the patch, and make a few bucks. I don't know about you, but that's a deal I would take. Greg, I know you would take that deal too. I'm pretty sure Cam Edwards would as well. Cam, welcome in, brother. How are you? There we go. We got you. I hear you.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
There
I knew
we
I
go.
wasn't on mute. I knew my phone was working all right. So.
Hey, you're a pro. We got this stuff down. You and I do this a lot together. Cam, I'm going right to Glocks with you, bro. And you know right where I'm going with this one. I promise you. Are Glocks machine guns, Cam Edwards, Bearing Arms, Cam and Company? Are Glocks machine guns?
I mean, technically there is a model of Glock that's full auto, right?
Yeah,
but,
not available to us.
The Glocks that, right, the Glocks that we can buy at a gun store, no, they're not.
Well, according to Gavin Newsom, they are machine gun convertible by using a part. And guys, we're talking about the Glock switches, which are already illegal under federal law, Cam. And they've banned them at the state level, too, even though they're already illegal by federal law. So the state bans them. That's not enough. So now they're banning Glocks. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I put a tweet out, and I should have pulled this up during the break. But I'm going to read, if I can find it real quick, my tweet. And if I can't, it's no big deal. I'd like to read it verbatim. But if I can't, let me pull down here real quick and see if I can find it. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able. Oh, here it is right here. The knee-jerk reaction in me is that it's time for the entire firearms industry finally abandon California altogether, including all law enforcement agencies. Make them all feel the pain. Okay, now that's off my chest. Yet again, we sue the commies into compliance. Which part of that statement would you rather see happen? Let's get real about this.
Well, I mean, listen, there are, millions of Californians who are exercising their Second Amendment rights, and I would hate to see them deprived of what little access they have to their Second Amendment just because of their governor and their legislature that they didn't vote for, right? I mean, these are gun owners who are essentially held hostage by the anti-gun Democrats in Sacramento. So, yeah, I prefer to see this litigated, and I think we are going to see it litigated. Not only by Glock, but by these Second Amendment organizations, because, this is, Mark, and I know you and I have talked about this before, this is their backup plan to Heller, right? Mm-hmm. Heller said you can't ban an entire class of arms, and so now, okay, well, let's ban them one at a time, right? And we'll start with the most popular pistol in the country, and then we'll just go from there. California is a little unique, but they're certainly not the only state targeting Glock. You've got lawsuits filed in Illinois and Baltimore, Maryland, city of Seattle, New York has a bill that's very similar to California's. It's just been sitting there in the Assembly. It hasn't moved, but that may change now that Newsom has signed AB 1127. So this is just the start of a real sustained campaign to go after, again, some of the most popular handguns in the country.
All right, now let's go back to the part which you said about Bruin, Cam. Bruin made it, or I'm sorry, Heller made it very clear, and others, that you can't ban a class of firearms. A class of firearms. Let's go. Words mean things, right? Let's talk about the nuance. The nuance here. Is the class of firearms meaning all pistols, or is Glock a class of firearms? See, we could get really into the weeds on this. Now we know what they're going to do. They're going to lose this case, and I do want to point this out, ladies and gentlemen, that your National Rifle Association is spearheading a massive lawsuit here in California, and this will be joined by many others we know. How do you see all this playing out? And let's go into the nuance about the language itself. Mm-hmm. Why do you believe Newsom thinks he can get away with this?
Well, I don't even know if Newsom thinks he can get away with it. But, I know that Newsom wants to run for president, and I know that Newsom doesn't dare get on the bad side of the gun control lobby. So whether or not this succeeds, I think it's ultimately irrelevant to Gavin Newsom, right? The important thing for Gavin Newsom is that he signed this bill into law. Mm-hmm. And we saw the reaction from the gun control groups. They praise Gavin Newsom, and they're going to shower him with money if he runs for president in 2028. So, I don't think Gavin Newsom, personally, I don't think he cares one way or the other whether or not this bill fails or succeeds. We've already seen this before with Gavin Newsom. Went after, in response to Texas anti-abortion bill, he spearheaded a law in California that was immediately struck down that would have allowed Californians to sue in civil court people who had illegally transported so-called assault weapons across state lines. Rob Bonta, the Attorney General of California, actually said, I'm not defending this. This goes too far. Rob Bonta finally found a gun control law he didn't like and couldn't defend. So Gavin Newsom has no trouble whatsoever playing games with our fundamental civil rights. This is just another example of that, I think.
Well, wait a minute. Hold a couple things here. I might have to take issue with you on, Cam. That never happens.
All right.
Gavin Newsom said he was all for the Second Amendment. He said in a podcast he was handed a firearm. He was handed a SIG. Mm-hmm. He said this might come as a shock, but I support the Second Amendment. Am I missing something here? Rhetorical question.
I think you're missing. Right. Yeah. But here, to your point, seriously, this is how Gavin Newsom will defend this when it is brought up. Hey, man, you said you're pro-gun. He's going to say, look, this is a safety issue. He's going to say, Glock can redesign this handgun anytime they want. And AB 1127 allows this to remain on the market as long as they change their design. The fine print in that, Mark, is that California has this handgun roster, right? Glock Gen 3s have been grandfathered in. Mm-hmm. Those are the only Glocks that are available for sale in California. Gen 4, Gen 5 aren't available for sale. Supposedly, it is harder to modify a Gen 4 or Gen 5 with these illegal switches. But if Glock went and redesigned the Gen 3 to make it more difficult or impossible to illegally install a switch, then they would have to resubmit that Glock to Cal DOJ for certification on the handgun roster, and it would fail for the same reason that Glock's Gen 4 and Gen 5s are not on the roster, because they don't have a magazine disconnect release. They don't have the safety features. They don't have microstamping, right? They don't have the standard safety features. The microstamping's been put on hold, but they don't have the safety features that California requires in order to be sold in the state. So it's a catch-22, right? Lawmakers can say, there's a way for Glock to comply with this. No, there's not. There's no way for Glock to comply with this. This is a Glock ban, plain and simple. If the handgun roster were to go away, then I think it'd be kind of interesting, but there's nothing in the bill itself that says, this applies only to Gen 3, right? And so, it's going to be a really interesting lawsuit. Because, again, California's going to make the argument that, hey, listen, we're just regulating for safety. There are all kinds of other handguns that remain available for sale in California. So even if this is a gun ban, it's not because we're anti-Second Amendment. It's because we're pro-safety. The problem is that they can get away with that argument for Glock. Then they can, let's say they go after the SIG P320.
Sure.
Right? And then they find another gun that they don't like, and they just go down the list. Here's why AR-15s, right? The Brady campaign has already made the argument that AR-15s are readily convertible to machine guns.
Uh-huh.
So if they're able to succeed with this argument against Glock, then there is their backup argument for banning so-called assault weapons. There is a backup argument for banning semi-automatic rifles because, well, they're readily converted to machine guns too. This is it's a trial balloon. Like I said, I don't know that Gavin Newsom really cares one way or the other whether this is successful or not, but I know the gun control lobby does.
Yeah, he isn't going to be in office
I know the gun
anyway.
control lobby cares very much.
Okay.
Well, I think you're right about
now
that.
that's my next question, but we'll hold it to the break because that was the second part of it. And then I have another one relative to Glock for you before we move on. A couple other issues I want to cover with you, but so I'll set this up for you now. Think about this during the break. But why are the gun banners so happy about it when they say they don't want to ban guns? Well, that one, I'm choked laughing on myself on that one. Okay, sure. Ban it. Yay! But wait, we don't want to ban guns. Oh, just that one and that one and that one and that one. And maybe that one and that one. Because those are the bad ones. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues. One more segment with Cam Edwards right after this. Small one's up. How about that? There you go. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, buddy. You want to do that. If you haven't, you really need to. If you're watching me on any of your devices or television sets, any of that fun stuff, I'm holding up my Attorneys on Retainer card. I do it every single show. Guys, you carry a gun, it can go south on you. You already know that. Particularly depending on where you live, plays a major role. And many of you live in places where you have aggressive prosecutors. If you don't have this card in your wallet, you are taking a serious risk. God forbid you have to face the worst day of your life and defend yourself. You survive it, which you will, because you're trained and you know it could happen. You might get a prosecutor says, oh, no. We're going to charge you with a crime. And you are not entitled to an attorney during an investigation, folks. Attorneys on Retainer, you have this card in your wallet, you have an attorney instantly. I want to talk with you, but I'm going to speak to my attorneys first. End of discussion. Attorneysonretainer.us. The promo code is AAR. Attorneysonretainer.us. The promo code is AAR. Save $50 off. It is $35 a month. Multiplied out, less than 1 hour cost of an attorney that you are definitely going to need for a hell of a lot more than 1 hour if you get charged. Attorneysonretainer.us. Save your hide, folks. Don't walk around without this if you have a gun on your hip. It is an absolute no-brainer. Best $35 a month I spend. I can promise you that. I know I feel better. And when my son, who just started carrying, same thing. He's 21. He's got an attorney on retainer. So does my daughter. So does my wife. Everyone in your family that carries a gun needs this. That's simple. Don't miss out on this. Don't be that person that says, man, I wish I would have listened. Okay? Because it can happen to you. And you want to be fully prepared. Attorneysonretainer.us, promo code AAR. Take advantage of this. It is an amazing sponsor. You need it. And all of our great partners, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Welcome back to the Car Firearms Group Studio. CZ Mike, National Rifle Association, bringing it to you at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Cam Edwards, welcome back, brother.
Thank you so much, man.
So why are the gun banners happy, Cam? If they don't want to ban guns, why are they so happy? That's not a rhetorical question.
Well, the non-rhetorical answer is because they're lying when they say they don't want to ban guns.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Could it really be, Cam? They're really lying to us?
Right? It's shocking. I know. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we hear all the time, oh, no, we don't want to ban guns. We just want to, a few common sense gun safety measures. But they do, right? They want to ban AR-15s because they're, so-called battlefield weapons of war. They want to ban large-capacity magazines because they enable guns to be bullet hoses. And now they, want to ban Glocks because they can be illegally turned into machine guns, which is, the flip of a switch. But, Mark, I mean, again, where does this stop? And it stops, I think, ultimately. Well, I think it stops. That's the thing, right? As far as the gun control groups go, it stops when they are told, no, you can't ban these things. And so, again, we go back to Heller and the Supreme Court saying, no, you can't ban all handguns. And so now we're to the point of the gun control group saying, okay, well, can we ban this handgun? Can we ban that handgun? Maybe can we ban all semi-automatic handguns? Maybe can we ban all handguns with detachable magazines, right? They're in the bargaining stage, I think, of grief still over Heller. But, the problem is I think some courts are willing to bargain with them.
Well, some courts will.
Scary thing.
Yeah, some courts will. Barbara in the chat asked this question. Anyone who understands firearms and a bit of smarts knows how to turn a semi-automatic to fully automatic. Are they going to make knowing how to convert a firearm to be fully automatic a crime? That's an interesting question, Barbara. Thanks for bringing that one up. Not enough time to go into it, but I wanted to shout you out there because it is a great question. By the way, Barbara, it was great seeing you at the GRPC. So thanks for going, both you and Mark Doobie. We know you guys well. Cam, this is a fascinating topic, and you know the Second Amendment Foundation well. You just participated in the board meeting with Alan Gottlieb and the committee. Over 55 plus lawsuits, Alan just reminded us in the previous two segments with SAF. The Supreme Court has taken the Hawaii case. Kavanaugh has signaled that in the next two terms, An assault weapons case is likely assault weapons, ladies and gentlemen. I use that with quotation marks. There's goofballs out there that will say, Walters calls them assault weapons. No, we're just using the terminology because that's what everybody knows it as. But Cam, he's already signaled they're likely going to take one of these cases in the next 2 terms. Mm-hmm. Well, we're the beginning of the second of that first term since that was written. And with all these 55 cases going, I'll ask you the same question I asked Alan. Do you feel that we could be on the cusp of the SCOTUS really getting busy with Second Amendment now that we're 3 years out removed from Bruin?
I do. Whether or not we see them take an AWB case this year, I was so let down by Snopes that I'm not getting my hopes up.
I know. I'm with that one.
But, there were 5 cases at the hearing conference. Well, we're scheduled to hearing conference last Thursday. All of them dealing with the question of, do unlawful users of drugs have any Second Amendment rights? I expect it'll take 1 or more of those cases. The DOJ is asking them to take a case called Amani. That's the guy who's probably the least sympathetic defendant out of all of these individuals, which I think is why the DOJ is asking the Supreme Court to hear his case. But I think that we're likely going to get a decision from the court on that question, at least to some degree. And then there are some under 21 gun ban cases that are the government has a reply due to these lawsuits out of the Fourth Circuit coming up. I think it is October 20th, which is interesting because there's been all of this discussion about ATF versus Reese, the Fifth Circuit case, where DOJ argued for very, very limited relief. I'm curious to see what DOJ is going to do, actually, because they decided not to appeal a loss in this case dealing with handgun sales to 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. Well, these are duplicate cases out of the Fourth Circuit, but the DOJ won those cases. And so what are they going to say? Are they actually going to come out and say that this law is valid under the Second Amendment? Because if so, that's once again going to put the DOJ at odds with gun rights groups. So, yeah, I mean, but again, that go back to the cases that are coming up before the Supreme Court. There are a number of Second Amendment issues that are going to be posed to the court this term, and I sure hope that we're going to see multiple 2A cases taken, because we are seeing, frankly, some very just flagrant abuses by the lower courts, willfully ignoring what they said in Heller and McDonald and Bruin.
Yeah, and we're 3.5, 4 years out now coming up on these cases. Enough time has passed for the lower courts, for SCOTUS, to start to see how the lower courts are going to rule on these. And as Alan pointed out, and I know you know this, the more circuit splits we have, I mean, there's a method to the madness with these lawsuits in these various circuits, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? You heard Alan mention that before. Cam, where can everybody find you, watch you, read you, all your fun stuff, man? You got it going on.
Yeah, just check out BarronArms.com, and Barron Arms Cam and Company. You can look for us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms.
Cam Edwards, I love you, man. Love you. You make everything
right back
better.
At you, man.
Oh, I love you. Thank you, Cam Edwards. We appreciate it. Cam Edwards, BarronArms.com, Cam and Company. He's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what, there are a handful of guests out there that just make every show they appear on better. Cam is one of them. When we come back, top of the hour, AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Lots to talk about. We'll get his take on Glock as well. Big story out there right now. Major lawsuits lining up to not only fight this, but defeat it, which we will. But, guys, it's going to be, unfortunately, a few years in the making. And that will be followed by Dr. John Lott and then a roundtable. Don't go away. We'll be back at 6 minutes after. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
30.
30 seconds, guys. Coming back to you now. Thanks for sticking it out with us. Several hundred watching us on Twitter, a bunch watching on YouTube, Facebook, and everything else. Welcome in. Hour 2 begins right now. We start off with AAR Hawkins and wrap up the hour with Dr. John Lott.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio.
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
I don't know about all that loud tonight, Greg. I'm not sure I'm loud tonight. I'm kind of tired. I just spent the last 4 days in Key West. Got back late yesterday.
You're supposed to rest sometime.
You ever been there?
Yes.
What do you think of it?
Well, when I went, it was just after a storm, and though they still had a little bit of cleaning up to do. I had a great time though. Had some great food out there. We dove some incredible shipwrecks. A lot of great wildlife that we saw while we were in the water. It was a good time.
I think listeners, if you've never been, I think every American should go to Key West. It's a very laid-back place. I want to give a shout out. I think my guys and girls over at the Conch Republic, I've been there quite a bit over the last few months, and the guys and girls at the Conch Republic are fans of the show, and I'm giving them a big shout out. They had best food on the island, as far as I'm concerned. The Maui sandwich there, off the hook. So I think I had it 4 times over the last 4 days, twice in one day. I had once for lunch. I had it fried, which I don't generally do, and then I had it the Caribbean seasoning on it, and it's absolutely incredible. Anyway, welcome in, guys. Hour 2 begins right now. Buckle in; it's going to fly right by. Mark Walters in the Car Firearms Group studios with you today on the CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. All of it being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. We are live on Facebook if you want to watch us at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. We are on a roll today, and it's only going to get better. And Greg, I'll let you do your spiel, and then we'll go over to our guest, AAR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Lots to cover with AWR.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can find us over on X at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. To join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And then take a sip of that sugar-free Red Bull to keep us going for the evening. AWR Hawkins, welcome in, brother. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. Good to be with you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you here, man. Thanks for being here. I know how busy you are on Sundays, and I got to give a shout out because we are ranked number 7 today, AWR.
Yeah, those Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yeah, we're wrecking them, just wrecking them. I'm a fan. What can I tell you? Because of you. Thank you very much. There you go. That's my fan fiefdom for the day today. AWR, I'm going to start with what you've written and go down the line, and let's start with the NRA. Putting Gavin Newsom on notice, lawsuit coming over the Glock ban. Just spent some time talking about this with Gottlieb and with Cam Edwards. Can't wait to get your take on this. But the NRA has made it very clear that they're not playing games here. Your thoughts?
Right. My thoughts, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for them, and I'm glad they get out in front of it. It's going to be good for the NRA to be able to say they brought this suit, and that's really why I covered it, because they deserve the coverage for coming out and getting on this. But, yeah, I mean, Gavin Newsom, what was it? It was only a few months ago that he told everybody that he has nothing against guns or the Second Amendment on a podcast, and here he is signing a bill to ban sales of new Glocks in his state. So, you know, he's going to get what he asked for. What he asked for was a lawsuit. He just didn't know he asked for it. And hopefully they'll be able to destroy this gun control pretty quick.
All right, so let me dig into what you just said. You don't think he knew? I bet my bottom dollar he knew. Look, he's going to be out of office, and here's the concern with this, why it's just going to take some time. Lord knows what happens at the district level. NRA could win this at the district level, like we have done many, many cases at the district level. But then the Ninth Circuit review comes into play. Then an en banc panel comes into play. Who knows what the Ninth Circus is going to do? Now you're dependent on SCOTUS. So there's a dangerous aspect to this, right? I don't want to be pessimistic. I want to be optimistic about it because I think, like you, it's a slam dunk, but it may very well take a lot of time.
Well, yeah, but I'm not worried about SCOTUS with this. You go to the Heller language of common use, and if a Glock's not in common use, then just delete that phraseology from our language. And so I'm not a bit worried about it in the long run. And the thing is, you look at what the Democrats of California did. In order to ban Glocks, they had to refer to a Glock as a machine gun. Mm-hmm. Well, the Supreme Court in Cargill has already rejected that type of language. They rejected the language of calling a bump stock a machine gun because it's not. And they'll do the exact same thing here. This is going to be a win if it makes it all the way to SCOTUS. And I hope it doesn't take that long, though.
Well, again, that begs another question. You would think that the state's top attorneys would tell him that.
Well, but I'm not sure. I like to call him old Greasy Head. I'm not sure old Greasy Head is that bright. He is such a fan of himself. I do believe Gavin Newsom is just busy fanboying himself, taking photos of himself and looking at them. He's too busy doing that to really hear anybody. I don't think he can hear anybody over the noise he makes when he applauds for himself.
It's a great point because it's true, and he's got those little peckerheads over there that are running his Twitter account, and those guys are a joke. Everybody knows it's not him. The guy's just amping up the rhetoric, filing lawsuits. And look, here's the deal, guys. Newsom's smart enough to know that he's not going to be in office when all of this is said and done. All right? Here's one thing I will tell you. He's not going to be president either. Let's just move on from that. But you also have another piece up. We'll stay on Newsom for a little bit because he's really easy to pick on and he's fun to pick on. Gavin Newsom signs bill broadening California's red flag law. And I want to get into the weeds on this with you because he signed numerous gun control bills on Friday, which one of them broadens California's red flag law by adding to the people who can seek an order to have an individual's guns removed. So the legislation, which is AB 1344, folks, adds district attorneys to the already extensive list of people who can seek the issuance of a court order blocking gun possession. Correct me if I'm wrong, but California has the most expansive, broad definition already of those who can seek the issuance of a court order, if I'm not mistaken. So this just adds to that, right?
Well, I can't say with 100% they have the most expansive. I will say my gut is that they do. It's as expansive as the most expansive at the least. We'll put it that way. But here's what I said, and when I was covering, I believe California passed their red flag law in 2014, adopted it in 2015, or it was passed it 2015, adopted in 2016, right in there. And
you're right.
When I was covering, I said, folks, the problem with this is they will expand this through the years. They're putting it here to get it passed, and then they'll slowly expand it. And what I've covered that happened Friday is not the first expansion. There's been an ongoing incremental expansion, and that's the problem with these red flag laws. You just can't, if you're in a state that doesn't have a red flag law, fight tooth and nail to keep it from happening, because a red flag law is nothing but an invitation for tyranny.
It's a red flag for tyranny. We can use that phrase. I want to point out, because you did, we lose track of time, guys. All right, let's go back to Parkland. That was 2018. Florida instituted a red flag law. Florida did not create the red flag law, ladies and gentlemen. Newsom in California had beat Florida to the punch by about 2 to 3 years. So we're going back almost 10 years already, if not 10 years. Almost 11 years. These things have been around. So these all need to be taken down. But there was more than just the red flag law. Something to do with the sale of firearm barrels, requiring such sales to be conducted by licensed firearms dealers. So when you have to get an eligibility check on the buyer before selling the barrel, and the buyer is now in California going to have to pay an additional $5 fee for the check, our good friend Russell Stewart, AWR, was on the show last week and reminded us that the 11% excise tax is in place as well, and it's making his businesses down by half. So none of this bodes well for the industry as a whole. But what does that do when it comes to barrels? Real quick before the break.
Well, it's just more, I've said on your show, what they'll eventually do is if you get a drop-in trigger for your Glock, they're going to require a background check for that trigger. And this is a move toward that. Now, you have a background check. They call it eligibility check, but let's be honest. You're going to have to do a background check in order to buy a barrel. And what this does, not only does it let them fight the ghost guns, they're so scared of ghost guns. Not only can they fight ghost guns, but see what they can do. If there's someone who owns a gun Grandpa gave him, and they finally shot the barrel out, and that person doesn't have their name on any paperwork, he's going to have to put his name on paperwork in order to replace the barrel in Grandpa's gun. And so the state's going to be able to go, aha, now we know he has guns too. So when that magic day comes that they want to round them all up, they'll know to include his house when they get out on the street. So it's a small part of a big play by the left. That's all it is.
Yeah, and the word, ladies and gentlemen, is a capital T. It starts, the word is tyranny, and it starts with a capital T. Let me phrase it that way. When we come back, I do have one more question for AWR that did not come up in previous discussions prior to this one right now about Glocks. We'll talk about that in just a second, then we'll move on. AWR, one more segment. Camera's up. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. We need you to join the National Rifle Association, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News talking about it, that they deserve all of the accolades on this. They are out front and center. Ladies and gentlemen, they are out fighting the fight on behalf of you. If you live in California and you are not a member of the NRA, now is a really, really good time to join, because the attacks are coming at you faster than ever. We'll be there at other organizations to fight, but when the National Rifle Association is lean and mean like it is right now, this is the organization you absolutely have to be a member of. NRA.org/AAR, and that's going to get you, for the 1 to 3 year membership, that free range bag, 5-year membership, life membership. We're going to send you the binoculars. And then one of you, when the giveaway is done, when it's all said and done, one of you is going to win a second range bag packed with all kinds of cool goodies from our partners at Armed American Radio. Think Crossbreed holsters, Car Arms, Heaven's Harvest, Barrel Buddies, goat guns. Imagine getting a range bag, Greg, stuffed with goat guns and Barrel Buddies and 12 meals from Heaven's Harvest and a bunch of other fun stuff. That's the real deal, folks. But there's only one way you can do it. Join us now. I hope that incentive is enough for you. It's only $35 for 1 year, and it's $85 for 3 years, $125 for 5, and then I think $1,000 for life, and it's worth every single penny. Please get in this fight with us. You cannot sit on the sidelines. We got to stay on the gas. NRA.org/AAR. You just heard me mention a few of our other partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, including budsgunshop.com. Budsgunshop.com. We'll get them to jump in as well. AWR Hawkins, welcome back, brother.
Good to be with you.
All right, so we got a shooting in Mississippi. 4 dead, numerous injured in shooting at a gathering in Mississippi. Now, I'm just going to tell you, when I see a headline like this from you, because I know you so well, at a gathering, and you have it in quotes, yeah, this isn't going to qualify as a mass shooting, is it? What happened at a gathering?
No, about tomorrow morning it won't. There's still a little scan on details, but yeah, this is going to end up being, in my guess, either a shootout or something similar to that. And so we'll see what it is. But that's why I made sure it included that language in there, because I think as soon as I saw that language, I knew, okay, this is not it. And so that's that.
Yeah, there's certain things we can tell by the way things are reported. There's another story out there yet. You haven't written it, so I won't go there. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure to watch AWR's feed. There's a lot of great stuff coming out that he's under pen on, or I should say under keyboard on. Now, I'm going to tease for you, ladies and gentlemen, a story that is going to come up big time on the roundtable, and that's Publix grocery stores. Now, I'm from Florida. Publix is a huge grocery store chain down here. We love our Publix. My son works at Publix, has for a number of years. It's a great company based out of Lakeland, Florida. They're the real deal. They really are. And while I was in Key West, the news came out that Publix Supermarkets has confirmed it will allow open carry in Florida stores. Now, AWR, this is a beautiful thing, because we saw a lot of attacks. Winn-Dixie doesn't. No open carry in Winn-Dixie. Kroger was asking people not to open carry. And for those of you in Florida and you're following the law, Publix respects your rights, and you should show them some love on that, by the way. Let them know that. But isn't that great news, AWR? You wrote about it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's good. I'm happy. Publix, just basically what they do is their policy conforms to the law of the land, whatever that law is, and that's how it should be.
Right.
And so, bravo to Publix.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you know my son, you know my family very well. My son just turned 21. He's been carrying since the morning he woke up when he was 21. It's a beautiful thing. Constitutional carry. His permit will be here any day now. And he was openly carrying one of his firearms today in Publix when he ran up to get Dad some sugar-free Red Bulls before the show. So I'm loving it, and we love our Publix. It's just a great thing. And interestingly, it was Sheriff Kurt Hoffman that sent me that while I was in Key West. So I applaud Sheriff Kurt Hoffman as well, because he gets it. Now, AWR, I want to stay on the Publix thing for a minute, because since Publix, since Florida, the judge in the First Circuit said, nope, you cannot ban open carry. I noticed while I was in Key West signs that I did not see in the same places just 2 months earlier. AWR, banning the open carry and concealed carry in these establishments. That also included the hotel I was at, okay, and a couple of the other establishments that are very famous, Sloppy Joe's and some other famous, world-famous bars down there, now have the open carry sign up as well. Didn't take them long, did it?
No, and that's typical. You see that throughout even Texas. As gun-friendly as Texas is, you'll see a 30-06 sign that bans concealed carry, or a 30-07 that bans open carry. Hey, I'm just going to say, I'm not giving anybody advice. I want to say that to start with. I'm not giving anyone advice. But if I'm staying in a hotel that bans guns and you break into my hotel room, I will riddle your body with 9mm rounds. You can count on it. So don't trust that sign if you're looking for my room.
Yeah, criminals think about those things. And one thing that I do want to point out, and believe it or not, in defense of these bars and locations where we saw, and the signs were numerous. They were not just at those two locations. I mentioned those because most people know who those big places are. Hog's Breath Saloon. If you're watching, I'm wearing a Hog's Breath t-shirt. But I do want to point this out, it's not their decision. That's the Florida 790.06 statutes down there, ladies and gentlemen, because Florida that's a bar. It's impossible to be in one of those locations and be compliant with 790.06 in Florida because the entire establishment is dedicated essentially to the serving of alcohol. So I'll give them that. They are basically telling you, yeah, it's legal, but it's not here. And they do remind you under Florida 790 statutes, not our decision, but 790 statutes. So I want to throw them that solid. AWR, the $200,000 to Jay Jones, who texted he wanted to shoot a GOP lawmaker. That's going to come up again in the roundtable because we have to talk about it. Alan was adamant about it. He was really fired up on that topic. Here these hypocrites are. You wrote about it. Come on, man. Isn't it enough? Can't people see through these people?
I mean, they're hucksters, and they're hucksters spending Mike Bloomberg's money. So they're only still around. They're just like Mom's Demand. I told you that I can't remember. Who's that Mom's Demand woman? She's out of the picture now, and I can't remember her.
Mm-hmm. That would be Shannon Watts. Shannon Watts.
But I told you I heard her speak in Tennessee once, and it sounded like Mel Tillis reading a Walmart shopping list in Arabic. Woman right here has some serious problems. He is not the brightest bulb in the pile of fuse bulbs. And so the only reason they continue to still be in the game is because Bloomberg keeps pumping money in. And so that's just they're hunters. And that's why they can do this. They can literally give money to somebody who said he fantasized about killing a GOP congressman. They can do that in this political climate, and they'll survive because Bloomberg will keep giving money.
You better believe it. Guys, there's so much that AWR has written that we didn't have time to get to. Tim Waltz dropping special session after assault weapons ban falls flat. That clown was made a fool of. We love that. So that one you want to check. And also, AWR has done incredible work on Chicago that the White House itself has been tweeting out and the press secretary has been tweeting out. You don't want to miss that. AWR Hawkins Breitbart News, search that in whatever engine you use and run down the list. It's all there for you to see. AWR Hawkins Breitbart News, thank you, brother. We love you. Fan favorite for a reason. Don't attempt to break into his hotel room. We'll be back with John Lott.
It's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Indeed. Welcome back. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. We appreciate that rejoin from the great Mike Gallagher, Salem Radio Network. You can listen to Mike every day on the West Coast, 6 a.m. to 9, on the East Coast, 9 a.m. to noon, and he is a huge supporter of your Second Amendment rights. I hope you give him a listen. He's wonderful. And I hope you visit all of our great partners. You can find every single one of them, including budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Bud's Gun Shop has everything you want and need, and you need everything they have. So it's a win-win all the way around. budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Hopefully we're going to be broadcasting from there soon. I have a conversation scheduled with them tomorrow. So I'll keep you posted on that. It's always fun to get up there to their Kentucky locations, not too far from me, and fun to meet with those fine folks. budsgunshop.com. Welcome back into the Car Firearms Group studios with me, and all brought to you by Patriot Mobile. By the way, Patriot Mobile phone here, ladies and gentlemen. You can have one too. PatriotMobile.com/AAR, PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Get a free month. This company fights for your rights every day. They put their money behind it. They donate. They show up. They're there at every single major gun rights event, including SHOT Show, NRA, GOA. They are there. So support them. It's easy. Flip a phone over. You don't have to do all of them. You can do just one at a time. It's all laid out for you. It only takes about 20 minutes. It's really simple. I've done it. You can do the same thing. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. And Greg, I want to point something out before we go to my guest, because it's fresh, and I know a lot of people might be questioning what I said about those 790 statutes, and I want to explain that briefly before I go to John in Florida. Guys, here's the deal in the state of Florida. Some of you are probably wondering what I was referring to. In the state of Florida, it is legal for you. And the best type of example I can give you is picture like one of the big chain restaurant bars, like an Applebee's. It is perfectly legal for you to go into an Applebee's and sit at a booth removed from the bar in the dining area of the establishment, carrying your firearm concealed and now openly. Sit there and have your meal, have a beer. That's legal in Florida. However, you cannot enter the area of the establishment that alcohol is the main sale. So if the bathroom's on the other side and you got to go through the bar, it's confusing, and you're walking through that bar area, you're in violation of Florida law. And that's what those signs were saying and reminding people down there when I saw them throughout Key West today. I just found it interesting that I was down there a couple months ago, and none of those signs were there. I don't recall seeing any of them. So there you go, folks. If you want to make a change, it has to be done at the 790 statute. So we'll obviously follow that. I have a feeling that might be on the docket coming up soon. We'll talk with Ryan Petty about that coming up at the roundtable, who is based out of Florida. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. Welcome in, brother. Always fun to have you. How are you today, my friend?
Doing great. Good to talk to you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, John. Always fun to have you. I want to start with a tweet that was put out earlier, and I responded to it, and somebody responded to you, talking about how, and the report was at least 4 people killed, 16 injured after a mass shooting at St. Helena Island, South Carolina restaurant. Now, this is likely going to wind up being some type of, group of violence, 2 groups going at it. More than likely, we'll find more out about that, ladies and gentlemen. When we do, we'll let you know. But somebody put a response up to that said it's the easy access to firearms, mental health issues, economic pressure, divisive, I'm sure he meant, politics are a global problem. This isn't happening elsewhere at scale, and these cowards aren't making their stand with knives or arrows. It's the firearms. Uniquely American as this crisis. You responded, Don, comparing the rates of mass public shootings across countries, and you pointed to one of your papers. And I responded when someone else said, no, it's not unique to America. Dr. Lott has debunked that statement on more than one occasion, right? And responded that to me. So, having said that, how do you respond on this show when you get a comment like that? Tell us why you responded the way you did and what you mean.
Well, I mean, I know people like Obama and Biden and many others constantly going out there and saying what this individual said, and that is that the United States is unique in terms of things like mass public shootings, and that's simply false. I mean, it's understandable why attacks in the United States get a lot more news coverage in the United States than attacks that take place in other countries do. But they take place. A lot of them take place in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you have to adjust for population. So, the United States, if you look at school shootings, for example, since 2000, there have been 9 mass public school shootings in the United States. In a country like Germany, there's been 3, but the problem is that Germany has about 83 million people in it. We have 340 million people here. If you adjust for 4, which is how much larger our population is, that would be the equivalent of us having 12. You look at Finland, which has had 2 mass public school shootings. If they have 5.5 million people in Finland. So if you kind of adjust by a ratio of 60 to kind of, per capita ones, that'd be the equivalent of us having 120 mass public school shootings. Nobody's going to go, I assume, nobody in the media is going to go and compare the total number of murders in California with the total number of murders in Rhode Island or something like that. They're going to put it in per capita rates. In order to make any type of comparison. They're not going to compare rates across different cities by just looking at the total numbers that are there. But for some reason, when it comes to these types of mass murders, they don't do that. There are all sorts of ways you can discuss this. People just don't think about these attacks in other countries. So one question I often ask people is, let's just look since 2010, comparing Western Europe, just Western Europe, to the United States. And if I were to ask people, could you name me where the 2 worst mass public shootings have been? Usually they can't do that, but both of them have occurred in Western Europe. You had the worst, which was in late 2015 in Paris at a concert where 130 people were killed. The second worst was in Norway in 2011, where, not counting the bombing deaths that were there, just looking at the people that were shot to death, there were 67. Both of those are a lot more than any mass murder in the United States. But most people don't even think about that. Obviously, France and Norway are relatively small countries compared to the United States. I think France, I can't remember whether it's like 40 million or 60 million people, but Norway also has about 5.5 million people in it. But it's just, anyway. And so the paper, we looked at a 20-year period of time where we counted the number of these mass public shootings, not, taking into account anything that a government did, not taking into account anything that resulted from a war, whether you wanted to include it as terrorist or not, because, a number of the mass public shootings in the United States, San Bernardino, the Fort Hood shooting, the first one at least, Chattanooga, other ones, one could easily include as being terrorist types attacks. All of them, in some sense, to me, are terrorist attacks. But whether you want to include those or not, there's still lots of countries that have much higher rates than the United States. So the United States makes up about 1% of the mass public shootings around the world over that 20 years. But we have like 4.6% of the world population. So we're way, way below the world average in terms of the rates that these attacks occur.
John, that's a perfect place to finish it because we're getting ready to take a break. Here's the music. And guys, I want to point out, and John, I want to point this out too. I don't know if you've been back to that Twitter feed, but the original writer of that post really hasn't had anything to say afterwards because every single comment coming behind his after yours was in defense of yours. And I found that to be quite fascinating. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. One more segment to round out this hour with Dr. John Lott. Guys, if you want to see that study that John is referring to, if you're on Twitter, you can find it there. Just search for John R. Lott Jr. on Twitter, at John R. Lott Jr. You can find it there, excuse me. And I don't know, I don't think we're going to put it in the chat, but you can also view it at crimeresearch.org. It's buried down in there. John has done numerous studies on this, making this point. When we come back, I do want to mention to John one other thing, too, and that's relative to the media, which is why it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
In addition to that, too, Greg, you know this, when you've got groups like the Gun Violence Archives that put out 700 mass shootings and all this nonsense, they do that intentionally to skewer the numbers so the media does what it does, and they bombard you with every shooting.
It's muddy in the waters.
Yeah, of course, they do it intentionally. No, they wouldn't do that. Yes, they do, folks. Yes, they do. I noticed somebody already went after Alan on Twitter about his comments relative to GOA and National Association of Gun Rights. Alan was pretty adamant about his position there. I had no idea he was going to bring that up, by the way. Well, I figured when I heard that he was saying it, he was, but I wasn't expecting it to come up on the air, but he did. He went there. Good for him. Alan can say anything he wants. I think he's proven himself over the years. And guys, if you're just tuning into the show, go back and listen to the first hour. We'll have the podcast up for you in a couple hours. And you want to listen to Mr. Gottlieb in the first two segments of hour number one. Mics are up. Cameras up.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, guys, welcome back to Car Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters in front of the CZ USA microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center, all brought to you by the NRA. Attorneys on Retainer card in my hand. If you don't have this and you carry a gun, you are doing yourself and your family and your community a disservice. You need to have this. $35 a month. Attorneysonretainer.us. Do not make the mistake of not having this if you carry a gun out in public. You need to have this. God forbid something happen, you're going to want this in your pocket. You don't want to be that person that says, God, I hear him talking about that every week. I should have done this. Why? Because it can happen to you today. It can happen to you right now. It can happen to you tomorrow. Don't find yourself in that position. It would be, I'd be heartbreaking to find that happen, and when you could have stopped it by having an attorney and probably not even been charged. If there's an investigation and you've got an overzealous prosecutor coming after you, you're going to want this. Trust me on that one. Attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back, John Lott, founder, crimeresearch.org. John, one point that I want to make about what you were just referring to is I think media is very important in this. I was telling Greg during the break, you got groups like Gun Violence Archives that put out all these bogus numbers of mass shootings. They don't pay any attention to the FBI. They create their own whatever they do, and put out this false information by changing the rules of the game. And that gives the media the ability to report what, to people watching international news on CNN or Fox, whatever it may be, it just inflames these and makes our position here and yours. That's why this research, ladies and gentlemen, is so vital, and you've got to be up on this. And John, I want to give you a solid over at crimeresearch.org. People can find all of this information, right? Everything we're talking about.
Yeah, everything's there.
All right.
Yeah.
It's at crimeresearch.org, ladies and gentlemen, and you can help John. $5, $50, 500, 5,000, whatever you got. This is why this information is so vital to get out there, because the other side just doesn't put it out, and they're likely not going to. That's why we do it. John, let's shift over with the time we have remaining to a piece you have over at Town Hall. More disturbing than Jay Jones' text message is the reason behind them. Would you tell us a little bit about, so I don't run my gator here, about what this piece is about and why? Because this is just an unbelievable story, and you've got American Democrats across the spectrum that are refusing to condemn this man and pull their support. Even Everytown for Gun Safety pulled their $200,000, as hypocritical as they are, and they still won't pull their support publicly, but they pulled the money. John, this is bad news all the way around. Take it away.
Did they pull the money, or they just took down the post that they had on him? I thought they had already donated the money to him.
They did donate the money, and I believe, and let me look at this while you're talking. I want to get the information right. So that's a good question. I'll let you take it away, and then we'll go back to that.
Well, anyway, I mean, unfortunately, the national news media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, have devoted a total of, I was seeing a couple of days ago, like 63 seconds to the story, and all of it was on NBC. Obviously people are outraged about the Attorney General nominee for the Democrats, his comments about killing Republicans, or pissing on their grave, or killing their kids, particularly with regard to former House Speaker Todd Gilbert. But what's missing in the discussion, and was just unbelievable to me, is the reason that he got so mad at the Republicans. And the reason is because there had been this moderate Democrat member of the state house who had died, and the Republicans were making, eulogies, saying what a stand-up guy this Democrat was, and it's just crazy that Jones would be so triggered by Republicans saying nice things about another Democrat. I mean, I guess Jones hated the Democrat too, but it's just kind of really crazy response to go and get mad at people because they're saying nice things about somebody in his own party. And obviously people have seen things like Jones was saying, look, if you have 2 bullets and you have 3 people to go and kill, either Hitler, Pol Pot, or the Republican Speaker of the State House there, he would spend both bullets on killing the Republican and not have any bullets to go and kill Hitler or Pol Pot and stop them from murdering people. So it's just deranged to go and think that this Virginia state legislator, is somehow more horrible, a worse person than Hitler and Pol Pot. It's just, and to do it because he said nice things about a Democrat is just crazy.
Well, it reeks of a level of immaturity. And guys, and I do want to, they pulled their endorsement, John, not their money. What we had been talking about was they need to pull
Well,
the
I
money.
don't even know if they pulled their endorsement. What they did was they just took down the post that they had there. They haven't put up a post that says, and we publicly rescind our endorsement. They just don't have a post put up on their website, is my understanding. But
I think you're right about that, and I'm reading that from the CCR KBA headline, and the headline over there, which I was quoting here, is, and let me just pull that up, guys, because I want to get you the right information. But that is Everytown pulls Jones endorsement announcement. CCR KBA revealed. So you're right, John. And what they should do is say, give us our money, but they won't. No Democrat. And Winsome Sears just ate Spanberger's lunch on this over the debates. It was really fun to watch, and one of the most brilliant political ads I've ever seen. But it speaks volumes as to where we are, John. It's horrific, but it speaks also to a level of maturity. Think about this, guys. If this guy's your attorney general in the state of Virginia, he knows you're a Republican. You think you're going to be treated fairly? This guy wants you dead. He's made it clear.
Well, or if you even say nice things about other Democrats.
Say nice thing about other Democrats. I know, it just defies logic all the way around, John. I'm glad you wrote about that over at Town Hall. But we live in very polarized times. I've never seen, and we're talking with Alan about this, John, in the first hour. None of us have ever seen anything to this level of rhetoric in this country. So I'll ask you the same question to close out. Alan hasn't, I haven't, but have you ever seen this level of what it appears to be accepted level of political violence from a major political party in this country in your lifetime?
I mean, the bizarre thing to me is last year when we had the assassination attempts on Trump, one within millimeters of killing him, the response from Democrats was that Trump was to blame for the rhetoric that supposedly got somebody to try to kill him. You look at things like after Charlie Kirk's assassination there, you have all these Democrats coming out there and getting angry at Kirk, saying that, he was spreading hate. I mean, kind of what the assassin there, his own anger at Kirk, supposedly for having hate. But, anybody who listens, I mean, my hope is that people will listen to the YouTube videos and see that Charlie Kirk was anything but somebody who was spreading hate. He was, exemplary for being courteous and in fact calling out others.
Yeah, and John,
who were saying hateful things.
He's had millions and millions more views now than he had before his assassination. It's remarkable. CrimeResearch.org, ladies and gentlemen. Please support John over there. $5 a month is all it takes. Okay? You can do that. I do it. $50 a month. You can do the same thing. John, thanks for being here. Roundtable coming up next. Paul, Ryan, Justin, don't go away. 6 minutes after.
You just failed your person.
Guys, another great hour of Armed American Radio today. I come in here, I was tired after the last 4 days, been out of town, and boom. Really good show, great information, great guests do that. Never a shortage of topics, is there? Greg, I guess you're going to take a little break, huh? How's that for a guitar strap, guys? Ooh. Sorry, I can't put that out over there, guys. It's copyright crap and doesn't really come across the mic too good. A little bit. Someday. So we have Paul Markle, student of the gun, jumping in with us today in place of Brad Primo, who is out, and Ryan, and we'll see wherever the round table takes us. You know how that is, guys. Take a quick break and be right with you at 6 minutes after. Back in the chair with you guys. Be back here in about 3 minutes, a little bit less. Yeah, picked that guitar for you too, but it gets a little bit loud here on the East Coast. So, because I don't like to play it quiet. She's too beautiful. And yes, that is the exact same guitar that Angus Young plays. He just wishes he was as good as I am. There you go. I know none of you were taking me serious about that, right? Greg, mics and cameras are live.
Okay.
Wouldn't want you to say a bad word.
It's not FCC regulated 30 seconds.
Yeah, not on the internet. It's not. Oh, Martin, thank you. It is a beautiful guitar, bro. I love the strap on that thing. I picked that up at Righteous Guitars. It's gorgeous. It's comfortable as all get out. And I ordered one online. I forget who I ordered it from. but the entire strap is fake bullets, but each one is removable. And that's attached to the Les Paul, and we now have that thing getting loaded with real rounds.
No, Justin.
All right, he'll jump in soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All right, here we go, guys. Round 3, Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you are following us back over, welcome back. Great to have you here. Hundreds of radio stations around the nation lit up here in the Armed American Radio Network studios. Car Firearms Group studios, to be exact. Mark Walters in front of this powerful CZ USA microphone. And, of course, it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Greg, we are being watched live right now on all of our platforms, including Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Make sure to like and share the posts over there, guys. And if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to the podcast. Help us continue to grow the show, closing in on about 22 or 23 million downloads. That's awesome. We are 800, I believe, Greg, what did I say earlier? I think 859 straight like Sundays without missing a broadcast, man. That's an incredible record.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, extremely, extremely proud of that, no question. And anyway, I'll let you do the rest, the tail of the tape there, where they can watch on the rest and participate in the chat, and we'll get cracking.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. At X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, and something else, I don't mention this, but we also are running live on Riverside.fm. You can watch us over at Riverside.fm, and there's a chat going on over there, too. So take advantage of all of that fun stuff. I understand we don't yet have Justin Moon in, right?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm sure Justin will get here. He's already responded by text earlier, but let me just give a shout out here, because this is the first time I've missed this event as a speaker or an MC. I was supposed to MC the event. They wanted me to MC the event today, and that didn't work for obvious reasons. I could have brought everything up there and could have done that, but I was on vacation with my son over the weekend, so it just made for almost impossibility to do that. But that's the Rod of Iron Festival that Carr puts on at the Tommy Gun Factory up in Greeley, Pennsylvania. So I missed that, I'm sad to say, but I was able to supply a 5-minute video, and I believe everybody saw that video yesterday, midday, or today during the event. And Justin's been very busy over there at the Rod of Iron Festival. He will come in, I'm sure, when he can. In the meantime, Brad Primo is out, and let's go right to Paul Markle, student of the gun, sitting in for him. Paul, we got you?
Well, hello.
Hello.
Is my microphone live?
Your microphone is live, and it is under FCC control right now. So I know you know that, but you know the game, right? I got to say that. I got to say that. Not that I think you're going to. You're a professional at this. You do this with me every week. But nonetheless, sometimes the topics get heated, and I said a word.
We haven't even started yet.
No, we haven't even started. Yeah, I said a word in the previous segment, or the previous hour, or when I was talking with Gottlieb, I believe, or with Cam Edwards, actually, and I wasn't sure if I was able to say that. Greg said, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're good to go. So sometimes it happens, Paul. Sometimes it happens. Let's go over to Ryan Petty, Parkland Dad Ryan Petty, down in beautiful Florida. He's been traveling all over the place. Ryan, welcome in. How you doing, brother?
Great to be here tonight with you, Mark. I've got 3 words for the FCC. You want me to share them?
I don't know. Go ahead. I trust you.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hey, blank, I don't know, yeah, well, I get it, the public airwaves, it is what it is. Sometimes the internet chat during the breaks gets a little salty, but so if you like that kind of sausage, you want to tune in and watch, you can get that. It's like the old satellite feeds, right, that you can't hear on the airwaves, but you can watch us and get that stuff. So Ryan, I'm going to start with you quick because you're in Florida. I just got back from Florida, and this subject came up a while back, and it was Sheriff Kurt Hoffman that sent me the article that Publix had made the announcement on their website. Publix, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't live down south, Publix is a large and very highly respected grocery store chain. I believe the numbers are near 900 plus stores just in Florida alone. Now, they're based in Lakeland, Florida, so that makes sense. But I got to thinking about that with my son. 900 stores in Florida. Is Florida that big? Yeah, it is. There's a lot of grocery. A lot of people need to eat, and Publix dominates down there. But they made the announcement on their page that they will follow Florida law, unlike Winn-Dixie and in the past Kroger's, who said, no, we don't want any open carry in our stores. Publix is right there with it. We follow the law. And good for Publix, Ryan. It's good to see such a large, respected company, because I read that as sticking up for my rights. Even though I know what they're doing, they're just following the law. But they didn't have to. They could have, under Florida law, put a sign up that said no. Couldn't they have?
Mark, sure, absolutely they could have. The Publix headquarters is in the county that I reside in, which is fantastic. Drive by their headquarters on my way to the airport,
Lakeland,
back to
baby.
and from the airport.
Yeah.
Great company. Love shopping there. I had never heard of Publix before I moved to Florida. It truly is a pleasure to shop there. I think that's their
motto.
Little plug.
Where shopping is a pleasure. Let's get that right. And I'm going to show you how much of a pleasure it is here in a minute, because there's kind of a side story to this, but we'll go there in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, but they could have done the corporate thing, which a lot of companies are going to do at this point, and talk with the lawyers and come up with some sort of thing to cover them and cover liability. Because let's be honest, in today's litigious society, if somebody mishandles or negligently discharges in one of their stores, they're likely to become a litigant in that case. So I applaud them for standing up for the Second Amendment. I applaud them for standing up for the Florida law and the rights of Floridians and Georgians and everywhere else that Publix had to do it, has a store. They didn't have to do this, but they did it, and they did the right thing, and we should applaud them.
Yeah. Now, okay, one thing I want to say, Paul, before I go to you is their motto is where shopping is a pleasure. And I don't have the story in front of me right now, but I did read it earlier. It was making news all over it. I think 2 different stories appeared on Fox about it and a couple local reports down in Florida when I was there. And I actually saw it on a local Monroe County report, not on national news first. But Publix, where shopping is a pleasure, is really true, because they now have a Publix bar in a couple of their outlets where they feed you and you can literally shop with beer and stuff. Now, that's not the first grocery store to do that. I know there's a Dorothy Lane in Ohio where some of my family lives. I always thought that was kind of cool. But apparently Publix, I don't know if they're moving in that direction or not, if it's just one of their superstores. I have no idea. But boy, I'll tell you, that's where shopping is a pleasure. Now, under the Florida 790 statutes, you're not allowed to be at that area of the bar. So that we'll talk about that a little bit with Ryan in just a moment. Paul, when you see corporations like this take the right side of an issue when they didn't have to, and they can always hide behind that, hey, we just follow state law, whatever it is, but state law also allows them as private property owners to ban that, and they don't. What does that say about the company?
Well, I don't know what Florida law is. I know in Ohio, we talked about this, that when Ohio passed concealed carry and then they switched over to constitutional carry, that there's an exemption in the law that says that the business owner is not responsible for the behavior of people who are carrying concealed or open. However, there is a provision in the law that says that if they put up a sign and that they disarm the law-abiding, that they are responsible for anything that happens to those people who have been disarmed in the event of a violent assault. Now, can you tell me, does Florida have similar verbiage in their laws?
Ryan, I'll defer this to you, because what Paul is getting into is somewhere I want to go anyway, and that's the 790 statutes, because of the signs that I saw. And guys, these signs, you see them in your states too. While we're talking about Florida, where you reside, you likely see some of these signs as well. Even in very gun-friendly places like Arizona, we see very few, if any of them, here in Georgia. A handful. K Jewelers and Jared's, I think, are really the only two, and maybe a Chuck E. Cheese once in a while. I don't go to Chuck E. Cheese anymore. I don't really care. But I don't know, Paul. Paul's question. I'll defer that to you, Ryan.
Yeah, look, my understanding is that those are advisory, although I've heard conflicting information. I've heard a lot of legislators talking about honoring private property rights and that trumps. I'm really unclear. And, I'll tell you what my policy has been is I tend to avoid looking at stickers on doors as I go in and out of places of business. I think that's probably just my personal policy, but maybe a good policy for a lot of folks to follow.
And as we get ready to go to the break, ladies and gentlemen, I'll refer you back to the top half of the first two segments when we were talking with AWR, and this topic came up, and he made it very clear that if you break into his hotel room, sign or no sign, you're going to get filled full of holes. Swiss cheese comes to mind, right? And I like Swiss cheese. I do. Swiss cheese rolled up with ham, a little bit of mayonnaise on it. It's pretty good stuff. You don't want to be made to look like Swiss cheese, but AWR will do it to you. When we come back, we'll go back to this conversation with Ryan Petty and with Paul Markle, student of the gun, while we wait for Justin to call. Hopefully he's got time to do that. We'll be right back.
following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, welcome back to the show. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today. Here in the Car Firearms Group studios in front of the CZUSA microphone, all brought to you by the NRA at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Join Patriot Mobile, folks. Get a great deal on a phone and support your right to bear arms. That is a win-win all the way around. All the way around. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Take advantage of that. Millions of Americans across the country are. They are on a roll for a reason, and you hear them on my Daily Defense show every other Thursday. And when Danielle is on, it is wonderful. When Leah Wamsgans is on, it is wonderful. They are great folks, and they update us on everything they're doing to support your gun rights. A mobile phone company, folks. Think about that. And a huge one. So take advantage of what they offer. You can find them and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. Paul, let me go back to you. Did Ryan answer your question? I'm not sure, but I want to continue the conversation because there's another avenue I want to approach.
No, yeah. That's something that people need to think about in regards to whether or not they decide to carry or not.
Yeah, well, one thing that kind of sideswipes this issue, and it's, while we're talking about Florida, it applies to anybody that has to face a sign. You have got to know the nuance of the law. And Ryan, I'll flip back to you. One of the things I noticed, as you know, I've been down to Key West a couple times over the last couple months. When I was back there in July, I never saw, I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't see any no-gun signs that jumped out at me. Probably wouldn't have mattered because I do know Florida law well. But this time I did. Now that the open carry had passed, there were some large signs on several establishments. And I mentioned Sloppy Joe's, which many people know. It's very famous, Hog's Breath, and some of these famous places down there, that said any firearm carrying, including now open carry, so this was a new sign, was new verbiage on the sign, was illegal under Florida Statute 790.06. Everybody knows that lovingly as the 790 statutes in the state of Florida, which are the rules of concealed carry and now open carry. So I thought it was interesting that, to me, I don't know if it was there before. I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it. But now that open carry is there, I guess they felt they had to put it up. But I gave a solid to Sloppy Joe's and a couple of the other establishments verbally, and here's why. Because all they were doing was notifying you of the Florida statute. Because Florida has that weird nuance where you can go into a restaurant, you can sit down and have a beer as long as you're not in the portion of the establishment where 100% of its sales comes from alcohol. That means the bar area. And the best thing I can do is use, again, like I did in the previous segments, is like an Applebee's, folks, is what we're talking about. Something like that. Now, if it's just a bar, you can't go in. But if it's got a separate eating area over at the restaurant, as long as you don't walk over to the bar or cut through there to go to the restroom, if that's where the bar is, then you're pretty much crap out of luck. So if you got a beef with it, don't have a beef with the establishment. They're doing you a solid by reminding you of that if you're following the law, that you've got to change those 790 statutes, right, Ryan?
You do, and let me go over this because during the break I did look up 790.06. You're quoting the exact right statute, and there are places it's prohibited. You can imagine schools, courthouses, alcohol, airports, those kinds of things. In Florida, it's not illegal to bring a firearm, concealed or otherwise, onto private property, but you can be asked to leave.
Right.
And if you do not leave, then you can be criminally trespassed.
And that's a felony.
It is, and that's why the signs are up. They're warning you as a place of business that they don't want you to carry. If they ask you to leave, it's not against the law to do so, but if they do ask you to leave, you need to leave, and that's what they mean on 790, Mark. So that's actually Florida law. That's, you're right. I hadn't seen a lot of those stickers before. I know, a couple years ago I went to Texas, and I saw stickers all over the place, right? And I was like, wow, I just don't see these in Florida. Yeah. But I think with this new open carry ruling that came through the courts and not through the legislation, right? The legislation was actually, a court order to allow open carry. I think a lot of business owners are saying, hey, we're not comfortable with that, we're going to go ahead and put up the sticker. That way, when we trespass you, or if we have to trespass you, we could do that. We got the law on our side. So I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's a fair analysis. Paul, let me throw this over to you. I took a photograph of the sign at my hotel. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I was just at the same hotel 2 months ago. I don't recall seeing this sign, and I went through this door coming back and forth into the lobby in my room from the pool constantly. Firearms and weapons of any kind are not permitted anywhere on our property, regardless of permit status. Now, it didn't refer to open carry, but I do not recall seeing that sign in July. Paul, I don't know what the signage is in Wyoming or anything, but we'll stay on this topic because it does apply. This is a problem in Arizona, Texas, elsewhere. Go ahead.
Let's talk about Florida and about signage and about all that. Most legislatures are pretty smart about when they say, okay, if you have a business you don't want, your sign has to be this size, this shape, this color, this specific verbiage has to be on the sign. I've been in several states where, if you, I'll give you a great example. In Mississippi, when they altered the concealed carry to constitutional,
right?
Everybody got all this. This always happens. People get all excited and they're like, "Oh no, the sky's falling! The sky's falling!" And the state said, "All right, if you want to keep people out, your sign has to be X, Y, Z. It has to be this big. It has to have this specific verbiage on it. It has to say this. It can't say other things, right?" And so what these hotels and fancy restaurants and stuff, what they don't want to put, a lot of them don't want to put these, plastic signs up. And so what they'll do is they'll have their local. There was some very nice hotels that had their local signage maker make a brass plaque that said "No firearms allowed," and that's nice, but that's not what the law says. And I don't know about, I went to a walk to buy a K Jewelers a few years ago, and they had a sign printed up on vinyl that was probably 2.5 feet tall, and it said "Thou shalt not," and it said "Guns, weapons, explosive ordnance." Literally, it's okay, well, I had grenades in my pocket, but since the sign's here,
leave your RPG in the car, bro.
Yeah, but a lot of these, I think, a lot of these people, they think that they're smarter than the average bear, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to put a da-da-da," and it's like, well, I don't know about Florida, but most states, if you want to prohibit, it has to say specifically what the law states, and you can't deviate from that. So
you got to know the law. Paul, we're getting ready to take a break.
And that's all nice.
Right.
And that's well and good.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a big whatever. Those signs mean nothing here in the state of Georgia, nothing, which is, I think businesses have figured out at this point, at least in this state, that, law-abiding people are not the problem, and that seems to be the deal here. But again, I throw that out. Well, here's the break. When we come back, I want to make that point again clear because I think it is important. And I'm going to attach Grady Judd to this too, just because I'm in the mood to do that, because Grady Judd caught a lot of flack from a lot of people on our side, which I thought was completely unwarranted. So we'll tie these two together. We'll be back. 2 more segments to go in the roundtable. Buckle in, guys. Next half hour is going to fly right by. Greg, just so you know, I did let Justin know that the water was warm. I said, no pressure. He's been very busy this weekend.
Most likely.
Oh, good heavens. I've been there, I know. And unfortunately, we lost this past year Lourdes, who put this entire event together over the last 5-6 years that we've attended, sadly, from a heart attack. And that was a big blow to them and required a lot of other people to really step up to the plate this year. So I'm sure Justin's plate was just full. We miss him when he's not here. He just tells it straight up. I'll be coming back at you in about 1 minute, folks.
30.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. You are on the Armed American Radio Network with us on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. We appreciate that so much. Please support the companies that make it possible to do this every single day, 6 days a week. We could not be sitting in this chair if it weren't for all of our great partners. And I'm here to tell you, the sponsors and partners that we have right now, and they are one and the same, ladies and gentlemen, are the best we have ever had. This is the best group of partners we have ever had. The products are incredible. There's a few more lining up right now. I'll keep you posted on that coming down the road. Getting down the pike just a little bit, getting out ahead of my skis like Bondi tends to do from time to time. But we're excited, and I tell you, it is a great group of partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. Bud's Gun Shop's one, Heaven's Harvest is another. Make sure to visit Bud's Gun Shop. They're our exclusive online retailer, and hopefully we'll be able to bring a show from their facility up in Kentucky in the very, very near future. And by that, I mean in the next couple of weeks. It would be fun to do. We'll see what their schedules look like up there. They've got a little bit of staff shortage, I know that. We'll see if we can make that happen. That's always fun, fun shows. ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Make sure to check them all out. They're all there for you. And, you know, guys, if you're watching on your shows, I got a lot of comments. I got this cross I wear every day. And I had a bunch of people ask me, where'd you get that? It is solid silver and black onyx. I actually got it from MyPillow.com. It's the same cross that Mike Lindell wears, and I got this from him directly. You can do the same thing. It's there for you. Don't forget MyPillow.com. So make sure to check it out. There's all kinds of cool stuff over there, from the Christian jewelry all the way to your towels, your sheets, your pillows, everything. Don't forget them. MyPillow.com/AAR. Support them. Please support them. You know, that's Christianity's under attack. We're all under attack by these goofball leftists. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. Let's get back to it here. Paul, I'll start with you here again, and then we'll go back to Ryan. The signage issue is important, guys, not just because we're talking about Florida, but because wherever you live, you have got to know the nuance of that law. For example, the sign does not carry the weight of law. The no gun sign does not carry the weight of law in the state of Georgia. I can walk right past it. I am not violating a law. If there is a sign in Arizona and I walk past that sign, I am breaking Arizona law simply by going into the establishment. I don't have to be trespassed. They will arrest me for violating that sign, which is their state law. That's their legislation. It is not the same here. Your mileage may vary. You need to know that. I know Tennessee at one point had that. I found myself in a couple restaurants that did not allow carry, and I found later that that was a violation of Tennessee law. I didn't see the sign. It wasn't visible. How did I know about it? It was when I went back the next day. I saw it on another door that I went in. It wasn't posted on the door I went in, the side door, the day before. So, yeah, that's their fault. Probably would have been a defense, but I don't want to be the test case, guys, okay? Now, what's important is, again, I want to throw this out because it is important that Sloppy Joe's, because of Florida law, with the places I saw this, we're simply reminding people, Paul, that that's the Florida 790 statute. That's not them. That's what they were saying. That's Florida law because they are a bar. So, therefore, you have to know it. There's nowhere in there that you can go that isn't where alcohol is being served, period, like a Bennigan's or somewhere else. It's all part of the bar is what it's considered. So, in that respect, they're doing you a solid trying to keep you out of trouble. Now, here's where I want to go with Grady Judd, and I can't wait to get Ryan's response on this because, well, Ryan has dinner with Grady Judd from time to time. Grady Judd caught a lot of flack, Paul, of course, the sheriff down there in Polk County, Florida, when the open carry ban was eliminated by the AG and the First District Court of Appeals and all, for simply telling people that it was his personal deal that he likes to carry concealed, but that's not stopping you from open carry. And a lot of people on our side, when he's anti-gun, it was all nonsense. It was a fair assessment from Grady Judd in my book, period. You go back and watch it, go back and listen to what he said, and listen to my comments. I don't have time to get into it right now. But I defended Grady Judd because he wasn't telling you not to open carry. He told you, go ahead and openly carry your gun. But understand that if you go past one of those signs, or if you're in this particular place openly carrying, you can be trespassing. It's a felony. He didn't want to charge you with a felony. And there's nothing wrong with him saying that to you because that is Florida law, period. It wasn't his opinion. And then he caught a lot of flack, Paul, because he said personally concealed carry is what he prefers, and a lot of people got upset because he was telling people what he preferred. I mean, a lot of it's just garbage, and I got to be careful because Angry Mark will come out. Paul, I don't know what the signage is.
Is there
in
a question
Wyoming.
in there somewhere?
Yeah, the question is, if in Wyoming, do you have to face all these battles? Do you have to deal with all of this?
No. But my question is this. So you say that this Sloppy Joe's place is doing you a favor. Do they have a big sign on the door for the Florida statute of drunken disorderly conduct?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Do they have a sign that informing you the Florida law for simple assault or felonious assault or aggravated assault?
Or no bar fighting or anything like that. I mean, we could keep going down that rabbit hole.
Like, whatever. It's like they're like, come on, man.
Sign
like
everywhere.
They're not doing you a favor. And when did trespass become a felony? Because I was a police officer for 20 years.
In Florida, it's armed trespass if you have a firearm.
Armed. Okay.
Yes, because you have a firearm in violation.
It was a misdemeanor when I was a police officer. Trespass was.
Yeah. Well, in Florida, it's a felony.
If armed.
If armed.
Okay.
Yes. So if you walk in with the gun, and they
you
say leave,
you can be charged with it.
You can be charged with, and that's what Grady Judd, the sheriff, was warning people. We can charge you with a felony if you refuse to leave the establishment at the time.
Well, why would you go somewhere where they don't want you to be there? They obviously don't want your money, and they don't want your business. So why would you try and force your business on somebody that doesn't want it?
Well,
why would you give those people your money?
That's where you're getting into the deal that's Florida law, not their policy, which is why I said,
no,
because remember,
if they got a sign on the door and you're going to spend money, if you take your wife out to dinner, you're not going to get out of the building without a $50, $60 bill.
Oh, sure.
Minimum. So why, and if you get excited and order desserts and crap, you're talking about $100. Why would you give $100 to a business that doesn't support your Second Amendment rights or whatever, I wouldn't bother with them.
Well, again,
Just move
here's
on.
the point. Here's the point that I want to make. That's not their call. The business owner in Florida, because of Florida law, doesn't have a choice because of the 790 statutes. If he
They
fits
have
the
to put a
definition
sign
of a
up?
bar, no, they don't have to put a sign up, but you have to know the law. And you can't carry in a bar in that particular establishment under the Florida 790 statutes, Ryan, as
Well,
you well know.
you can't rape people in that building either. You can't murder people in that building, and you can't, commit armed robbery in that building. Are
Well,
they
of
putting
course.
the murder, rape,
Of
and armed
course.
robbery statutes up too?
No,
man.
come on,
I
you're,
mean,
you're going down. This is different only because it's a new law. You're going down a lot of different rabbit holes that we could go, and I'm not chastising you for that. But we could go down. Come on, we could go down tons. We could go down tons. We could.
They're
there's
doing
tons
you
of
a
them.
favor. Whoopity doo.
Well, not that they're doing you a favor, but I don't believe. Look, if I own a bar, it's not my fault that that's the Florida 790 statute.
Why are you hanging out in bars?
I don't know.
If
I
you're
don't
an
know.
armed
It's a good
citizen, you
question.
shouldn't be hanging out in bars.
Okay.
Nothing good can come from that.
Yeah, I disagree with you if you're a responsible
Nothing good.
citizen. That's another
Nothing
argument.
good can come from you hanging out in bars.
I find that if as a responsible citizen, I
Well,
disagree with you 100%.
I'm no longer 21 years old either.
Correct. You're not 21, and that's a whole different ballgame. I'm not going to chastise 21-year-olds either. There's a lot of responsible 21-year-olds that are not going to cause a problem in a bar. I've carried in bars my entire adult life, and I've never had a problem because I'm a responsible individual. That's personal choice. Ryan, to get into this, keep it going because it's a fun conversation. I enjoy it. You heard what Paul said. Why don't they have other signs up? Now, I believe that's getting way too deep into it. Of course, they're not going to put up every law in the state of Florida, but because this is new, okay, that's their call, and it's not their fault. So I will defend them on that. 30 seconds before the break, I think.
No, look,
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
You were talking about
excuse
Grady
me.
Judd. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Well,
hold on to
look,
that. Hold on to that. Wait till we come back. Oh, see, there it is. Wait till we come back. I just did you a favor. Didn't want you to run up into the break. We'll be back with Ryan Petty, Paul Markle, student of the gun, the professor, which, by the way, student of the gun, SOTGU.com. Use the AAR promo code, save 15%. You can train right now, today. Paul will tell us about that when we come back. Don't go away. Mics are back.
So what?
Mics are back. Final segment already, guys. What gives?
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
There's my Attorneys on Retainer card, folks. I hold it up for you on camera every single show when we're on camera. And if I'm not on camera, I'm telling you I have it in my pocket. You need this too, okay? Do yourself a solid. Get this. You ever find yourself in a situation, your worst day of your life unfolds, and you have to defend yourself, you may need an attorney, sadly, but you may need an attorney. And if you want one, if you need one, you want a good one. They're the only law firm in the country that specializes in one thing in all 50 states. Self-defense cases. That's it. Nothing else. Nada, zip, zero. Keeping you free for exercising your right to defend your life. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Take advantage of it. It's $35 a month. Save $50 on the sign up and just do it. I know many of you are on the fence about it. I've heard from some of you. Just do it. It's a no-brainer. And you can find them and all of our other great partners, including the National Rifle Association. Please join the NRA. Help us become the bigger powerhouse than we've ever been before. They are at the tip of the spear now, doing everything right. Great management. NRA.org/AAR. Get the free stuff we're going to send you. It's right there at NRA.org/AAR. You can find all of our great partners, including all of them, at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Ryan, I had to cut you off because of the break, but before I go back to you, I want to point something out that Paul had mentioned earlier about bars and drinking and everything, and I'm going to hand this to Paul because he's right about this. Guys, if you're going into a bar on a bachelor party to get schnockered and hammered, leave your gun at home, okay? Now, we may differ on this. If you're walking into a restaurant to have dinner with your family and have a beer, I have no problem with you carrying a gun. I've done it countless times, and in this state, it's legal to walk right up to the bar with an openly carried gun, which I've done myself. But be smart about it. Be responsible about it. It's that simple. Ryan, go ahead.
But I was going to comment back on Grady Judd. Look, I thought the folks that were criticizing him were absolutely wrong. He's a friend of mine. He's pro Second Amendment. I've learned this over time. Grady Judd is right about 99% of the things that come out of his mouth. And he was just providing some good advice, I think, to folks. You and I and Paul could get into an argument about whether or not it's wise to carry openly or whether concealed. I prefer concealed. I don't want to be the first one taken out.
Oh, you must be anti-open carry if you just said you prefer concealed, because that's what people were attacking him about, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't know that.
I know, and I'll tell you another story about Sheriff Judd here. So, one of the churches that I go to was attacked in Michigan a couple weeks ago. I got a phone call from Grady Judd just a couple of days after, and he said, "Hey, I saw what happened in Michigan, and I'll tell you that ain't happening here in Polk County. So I'm going to put a deputy at every one of your churches for the next month. They can stand outside, you can invite them in, but I want everyone to know that your churches are not a soft target." And that's the kind of guy Sheriff Judd is. So, boy, you can criticize him if you want, but as far as I'm concerned, there's a reason I moved to this county, and Sheriff Judd is the primary reason I'm here.
Yeah, I had my issues with Sheriff Grady Judd. I said that publicly before, but that was years ago when he was running the FSA. That's the Florida Sheriff's Association, and there's been a lot of change of tune going on, a lot of change in law. No question about it. Guys, I want to jump over, but again, Paul's advice was absolutely correct. I mean, if you want to avoid any hassle at all, don't carry your gun in a bar. That's your choice. If you don't think you can be responsible, it's that simple. But if you're a responsible person and you're no threat to anybody, I have no problem with it whatsoever. I've done it myself countless times. I say countless times. I have no problem with it whatsoever. But guys, if you're going out with the sole intent of getting plowed, forget it, okay? Nothing good can come of that. And as we see in the chat over here, lots of attorneys and everything else will tell you, avoid the hassle. If you're going to go out and you're going to elevate your blood alcohol to a point where you're going to get yourself in trouble, you need to think that one through. Paul, let's go to California and Glocks. They're banning Glocks. He signed the bill of HB 1127, brother. Come on now, be FCC friendly, but I'm just going to hand it to you.
Dude,
Take it away. Take the ball. Here's the pass.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. Mr. I love the Second Amendment. Just banned the number one most popular issued gun. It's fantastic. You can't write this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So look, this came up in previous conversation during the program today. Clearly he knows what he's doing, or does he? After what he just said. He's not going to be governor by the time this works its way through the courts. The Ninth Circuit is going to get a hold of this at some point. We know how this plays out. He'll get we may get a favorable ruling at the district court, which we've had many times in California. State appeals to the Ninth Circuit, loses, or we lose, then we go back to an en banc. This is years down the road.
The California legislature does not obey the courts.
Well, great point. They don't care.
Didn't the courts tell them that they couldn't do? They've told them they can't do a lot of stuff, and they just
slapped down
whatever. We're not going to do. We're just going to do whatever we want. We're a one-party state, and we do what we want. So let's just say that a court says you can't do that.
Yeah,
they're going to say, "Well, we're the Democrat Party, and we run California. We're just going to do whatever we want."
How do you think
they'll file injunctions or whatever?
Look, my knee-jerk reaction in a tweet was my knee-jerk reaction, and I made that clear, was it's high time all firearms companies just pull the industry out of California to let them feel the pain. And I know California residents don't want to hear that.
Dude, I've been saying that for a decade
I know.
or more.
We've talked about it on our Friday show together. We've gone back and forth about this.
We're not
but that's not fair to them.
The people of California by we're like, oh, what about the people of California? What about them? Fix your state. We can't. Then how does having a Glock make it any better? If you can't fix your state, what does it matter?
Yeah, this is a conundrum.
What does it matter?
It's a conundrum in California. It really, truly is. That's the knee-jerk reaction in me. But, it's like telling people to move. You got to stay and fight the fight. I get it. That's a never-ending battle.
Oh, they've been fighting it, man. Look at every single time they put a ballot initiative, the state says no.
Yeah.
They look at what California did. California said that marriage is a man and a woman, and the Democrat Party went to a judge, and the judge threw out the will of the people.
Yeah.
The California people tell me that all the time. They're like, "Oh, we're different because we have the People's Ballot Initiative." Okay, Cool story, bro. So if your ballot initiative does something that the Democrat Party doesn't like, what are they going to do? They're going to go get one of their judges, and they're going to have their judge throw it out, and you're back to where you started.
And it's years down the road as this thing goes through the appellate process. We've got 30 seconds. Let me throw it over to Ryan. California banning Glocks, brother. You're an FFL. What would you do?
Move. I mean,
I kind of figured
people are nuts.
There's always that option.
I got friends and family in California, and I'll tell you, 80% of the state's normal. They're the crazy spots, but unfortunately, the crazy folks are the ones in charge, and they've allowed it to happen. So, my best advice is get a U-Haul.
And there's a wait for that in California. Gavin Newsom never wants to talk about that, but there are tons of people exiting, far more than people going, and that's going to be a huge problem for the state down the road. Paul, real quick, where can people find you, brother?
Oh, please go to sotgu.com and sign up for training today. You can do it.
Use that AAR promo code. And Paul, we'll continue that feisty conversation on Friday. Can't wait to have you back. Ryan Petty, thank you for everything that you do. Paul, thank you for everything that you do. Guys, I'm sorry we couldn't get Justin Moon in, but he was extremely busy with the Rod of Iron Festival. We were conversing back and forth. That's okay. He'll be back next week. We miss Justin when he's not here. Guys, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. Don't be that disarmed, unarmed caveman. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys.
You just filled your prescription for freedom.
With Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association.
The National Rifle Association.
On the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the program today. I thought I was going to be wiped out today. I could easily go another hour. I know Greg doesn't want to hear that, but it doesn't matter anyway because we don't have the satellite time anymore.
You can do an hour here raw with the internet.
Yeah, well, I guess I could do that, but
I'll be at home sleeping.
I'm not going to do that because I know somebody out there is going to want me to pay for that hour of time, even though you weren't there. Not going to happen. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the program today. Fun conversations all the way around. It was a great show. It always is on Sundays. So enjoy your day and stay safe out there, please. And follow us on Twitter at AAR Mark, at Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, over at Rumble. Follow us over on YouTube. And please make sure, if you don't, please subscribe to the Armed American Radio podcast. Join the thousands that do. And you'll never miss a live broadcast. We should have, it's 10:58 on the East Coast. We should have the podcast up for you within about 30 minutes. So stay safe. Enjoy your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, 4 p.m.